Supply chain customs and commercial documentation. Introduction. Within the supply chain, there are freight operations. In order to carry out these operations, good commercial relations between the buyer and the seller are necessary. Thanks to them, different phases of the process are executed successfully. Every negotiation between two parties requires guidelines to establish a good framework for understanding. However, a number of problems may occur in many international operations between countries governed by different laws. The export of goods must be carried out by customs enclosures authorized by the member state country. Any merchandise may be subject to controls by the customs authorities. Optimization of customs should be speed up the logistics flow, reduce the cost, and optimize the quality of service. The International Chamber of Commerce defines the Incoterms as a series of standards used internationally to interpret the terms of the trade relationship. Their purpose is to avoid disputes over the responsibility for risks and the cost of operations. Customs. Concept of customs refers to the defined and limited space used to locate goods that have previously been authorized by customs authorities of each state. This space is recognized as the customs enclosure, and its main functions are to apply the rules stated by the company's trade regime, verify the goods that enter or leave the customs physically, quantitatively, and qualitatively, raise taxes, and rate goods. There are different types of customs enclosures depending on the location. Maritime, it is located at the seaports. Air, if it is located at airports. Border, located on roads or railway lines next to another country. Interior, at different points onto the borders of the country with the aim of speeding up the goods traffic. These may be seaports, airports, inland road transport terminals, inland rail terminals, free warehouses, custom-free zones, temporary warehouses, other approved venues. And as from January 1st, 1993, the 12 countries that were part of the European Community, currently composed of 28, created a so-called community internal market, which is characterized by allowing the free movement of people, goods, capital, and services. And as a result, the Community Customs Union was created, and the establishment of the common market to introduce a series of changes that affected the commercial activity of the economic operators. The disappearance of the internal borders of the states, the creation of single common external borders against third countries, application of common customs tariffs, tariff, identical for all members against goods from third countries, the entry into force of uniform customs legislation for all the members, the Community Customs Code, and the application of a common commercial policy for the European Union with third countries. Now we come to the customs documents, the one we'd mentioned before, the single administrative document. SAD is the document that ensures compliance with the customs formalities required for merchandise exchange operations. It is also used for tax declaration and information support. Export, the document that authorizes the exit of a merchandise to its final destination, even if the export is temporary, as that document is needed. There are two types of procedures depending on the value of the merchandise. Low value refers to all non-commercial goods whose value does not exceed 150 euros or its weight is less than 20 kilograms. In these cases, it's not necessary to deal with SAD export. An airline will issue a registration or manifesto of low values that are sent to the customs office for review. And then you have high value, refers to non-commercial goods with value exceeding 150 euros or weighing more than 20 kilograms. And a SAD export certainly is necessary in this case. The customs office of export, for example, in Spain, receives information related to the clearance of goods being carried out on the designs and the response systems to regulate the exit of goods. There are procedures for authorizing exports. Green, for shipments of low value whose manifesto has been reviewed, the customs office, and the shipment of the merchandise has been authorized. And then we have the orange, the clearance goods is authorized but with export documentary inspection. And red, where the customs authorities impose a physical or documentary inspection of the merchandise. Now we come to the imports. When merchandise arrives at the customs in a country, it is necessary to proceed to the act of nationalizing the merchandise by making a declaration and issuing a SAD importation. As with exports, the goods are classified as low value or high value. Low value ones would be value of less than 22 pounds, 22 euros, or that the weight is less than 15 kilograms. And in this case, the recipient will not have to pay a tariff for this import, nor will it be necessary to have a SAD, since there is an automatic certification of the customs clearance. Then we come to the high value ones, the non-commercial goods with a value of 22 euros, more than 22 euros, or weighing more than 15 kilograms. And in this case, it is necessary to issue an import SAD, as well as to pay the corresponding VAT and relevant taxes. Fees. Certain products, regardless of the declared value, will also be considered high value. And these are drugs, tobacco, alcohol, food, and textile products from Asian countries. Customs analysis analyzes and classifies the SADs and establishes 3 possible clearance destinations. Green, no review by customs is required that the SAD import is enough. Orange, when customs want to check the documentation of the goods to verify certain data. And red, where a physical assessment of the goods is required by the customs authority. And the main risk indicators that are taken into account for SAD import control are as follows: the origin of the goods, documentation, the value, the classification. The origin of goods from companies where intellectual property rights are violated. For example, the declared origin does not correspond with the real one, or if the origin of the goods certificate is false. Documentation, some data related to the merchandise can be confusing, contradictory, or incomplete. The value, the declared value of the goods does not match the description of the content, weight, or volume. And classification, if there was an incorrect tariff classification. Certificate of origin. This is the document that determines the origin of the merchandise in order to apply the customs duties and supervise the tariff quotas. Granted to imports from a specific country, it assures the import customs authority that the described merchandise has been manufactured or produced in the country indicated of origin. The issuing entity. The certificate needs to be accompanied by the official form which is issued by the Chamber of Commerce of the area in which the sender is located. The certificate of origin is a very useful mechanism for the control of goods entering free trade zones. Period of validity is 5 months from the date of issue. And then we have consular invoice, a document in which the consignee certifies the origins of goods as well as the payment of a certain amount in the consulate of the destination country of the goods. In many cases, the consular invoice involves the advance payment of some customs duties, which facilitates the customs clearance when the goods reach the country's destination. And as a result, a reduction in customs duty may be given to the recipient. The consular invoice consists of information about the sender and receiver, a description of the articles included in the shipment, value and weight, ATR-1 movement certificate, a certificate granted by the European Common Market Union, for the reciprocal trade with Turkey. Time of issue. This document is issued when the goods are going to be exported. Issuing body, the customs authority of the exporting state, have to issue an ATR-1 document. And presentation of the ATR-1 must be presented at the Office of the State of Import, along with the SAD, within 3 months from the date of endorsement of the Customs Office of Export. Purpose of this document needs to be presented so that the goods can qualify and benefit from the preferential tariff regime with Turkey. Phytosanitary certificate. Phytosanitary certificate. This certificate guarantees that the products of plant origin are free from parasites and diseases that can be spread among the vegetation of the destination country. Its main objective is to fight against pests. Issuing body. A phytosanitary certificate in Spain is accredited by the Ministry of the Environment and Rural and Marine Affairs, the Department of Agriculture, and the Autonomous Communities, and the Ministry of Health and Consumption. Under no circumstances should its validity exceed 60 days. ATA Carnet, a customs document that allows temporary importation and exportation without payments or guarantees of customs duties. These goods have been re-imported to the country of origin within the time limit set at 1 year. Since not all countries have adhered to the ATA system, it is essential to consult in advance. Issuing body, issued by the Chambers of Commerce, and then you have the EUR-1 supporting document of the preferential origin granted by the European Union, applying to countries with which have preferential treatment. Here are some of them. It is used to trade with Morocco, Algeria, Tanzania, Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Serbia, Bosnia, Macedonia, Croatia, Norway, Switzerland, and Iceland, etc. Time of issue. Issued at the time of export of goods. Issuing body, the European Union, is the body responsible for issuing an EUR-1 and for countries which have preferential agreements. And the presentation, the EUR-1 must be accompanied by the SAD export and needs to be validated by the Customs Office and exit. Transport documents, air waybills, and is the main type of document used in air transport. It regulates an international air transport between two countries that have ratified the Warsaw Convention and its subsequent amendments. The airport transport document is not a document that gives the right over the goods. It is given the right to claim the goods with a simple identification. It is a contract between the sender and the company carrying the goods. And there are two main types. There are the airline air waybill. It shows the air transport company that will carry out the transport service, and the neutral air waybill. It does not show the name of the airline that will be responsible for transporting the goods. Its characteristics: it is normative, in other words, it cannot be negotiated. It does not grant any power over the goods. It allows claiming the goods. It describes the existence of a transport contract, transport conditions, receiving the goods. It gives details of the goods basic data, weight, volume, and packaging dimensions. It is safe and reliable certificate. In each airway bill, there are 3 origins and at least 6 copies for the parties involved in the operation: consignee, consignor, airline, air cargo agent, successive transports in that case, and the destination airport. The data found in the airway bill, the departure airport, the route, and the destination airport, the name and address of the airline responsible for the transport, the name and address of the consignee and the consignor, method and form of payment, the insurance value of the goods and the amount of the premium, specifications of goods, and if needed, instructions for handling. Then we come to Bill of Lading. International maritime transport documents that state that the shipper has delivered the goods on board the ship and that he is a holder of the merchandise, and he is the holder of the merchandise during the transport. By the means of this document, the captain of the ship agrees to transport and deliver the merchandise to the port indicated by the shipper. This document is delivered by shipper and serves as a proof of the shipment of goods under conditions that appear in each step, and it is a negotiable document that can be used to transfer the ownership of the goods to another person. On the other hand, it serves as a receipt for the shipment when the goods are delivered to the destination. Finally, it is also understood as a promise of the carrier to deliver the goods to the receiver. So the process of the following steps. First, the ship goods are received, and then a certification of their status is made on board. Secondly, the contract of the transport is made, regulating its conditions. Finally, a title document is obtained, negotiable, and admitted by the banks in the documentary credits as a representative of the merchandise. It is a valuable title that proves the ownership of the shipped goods and allows the holder to be in charge of them during the process. The data found in the bill of lading: the name and address of the shipping company responsible for the transport, the shipper and the addressee, the name and the nationality of the ship that transports the goods, the port of departure and destination, specifications of the goods, instructions for the payment of freight. The B&L is composed of 2 or 3 signed originals and a number of copies which are unsigned. Each original is negotiable, but copies are not. These are 3 possible responses to the BL, bill of lading. A clean bill of lading, a certificate of shipment that establishes that the batch of goods is in good condition when it is delivered on board. At this time, the carrier takes on the responsibility for delivering the goods in the same condition to the receiver. Certain banks only accept this type of shipping certificate. And then you have a dirty bill of lading. In this case, the carrier does not accept the clean bill of lading. This document specifies the reasons why the goods have not been accepted. Some common examples are inadequacy of packing, incomplete merchandise, damage, etc. And also C, said to contain. In this case, the transport of the merchandise is carried out in containers. Consequently, the carrier cannot review the contents. This document includes a clause to prove that the contents correspond to what the owner has described. Now we have the Contrat de Transport International, so that looks like French. The CMR Convention applies to all contracts for the carriage of goods by road or by means of vehicle. Its main characteristic is that the place of loading the goods and the place intended for delivery to the recipient needs to be located in 2 different countries, at least one of which is contracting country, regardless of the place of residence and the nationality of the parties to the contract of carriage. This transport agreement does not apply to transport carried out under regulations of the International Postal Conventions, funeral transport, furniture removal. The contracting parties agreed not to change any of the provisions of this convention by special agreements between 2 or more of them, except to make it inapplicable to their border traffic or to authorize the use in transport operations confined exclusively to their territory of consignment notes representing a title of the goods. The transport document consists of 4 original copies signed by the sender and the carrier. The first copy is in the hands of the sender, the second is in the hand one who will accompany the goods, the third will be in the hands of the receiver, the fourth must be returned to the sender once signed and stamped by the receiver. There are a series of indications that can be found in the consignment note. And here are some examples. Place and date of writing it, the name and the address of the sender, the name and address of the carrier, place and date of loading and the expected place of delivery, the name and address of the receiver, the number of packages and their identification, very important, the amount of goods transported, and the price and transport expenses. If the goods are transported in more than one vehicle or the vehicle is composed of several shipments, it is necessary to issue a CMR consignment letter for every vehicle or every shipment, allowing a single CMR consignment letter if the load is carried out in a full regime. Railway Consignment Notes, CIM. The CIM transport document is the one used in the rail transport. It consists of a set of 6 identical documents written in the language of the issuing country with translation to at least one of the following languages: French, English, German, or Italian. Oh, this document grants ownership of the goods if one of them has the original. The duplicate is the only valuable as proof of the shipment. The original delivered to the address together with the goods. The road map keeps track of all expenses and charges. It accompanies the merchandise through its journey and is kept by the destination station. The duplicate of the road map remains with the first railway. Duplicate of the CIM bill of lading given to the consignor once the first railway has accepted the shipment. The matrix of expedition in the power of the first railway and for the internal regime of the first railway. Let's have a little look at that. Railway Consignment Note.